Welcome to another episode of the True Beast Podcast, brought to you by Xdog.com, where you can find the world's greatest health enhancement harness for dogs, the Xdog Fitness Vest. Exercising your dog has never been easier than with the Xdog Fitness Vest. So if you're looking to improve your dog's health or enhance its life, be sure to check out Xdog.com. And today, we're on episode number 41. It's me and Trevor, as always. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're new, I guess, how would you kind of explain our podcast? We talk about products, we talk about business, we talk about life. How would you kind of explain to someone who's new listening to us what they can expect from us?
Well, I don't know if there's something to expect. To be clear, people, I came in here, I was talking to Sabrina, and then he said, we got to get a podcast going. And we had talked for some time. So when you think about coming together with people, a lot of people try to get together with friends and even business associates. And then there's businesses who create a room for podcasts, and not 1, 2, 3, let alone 10 podcasts get done. So here at Xdog, this particular podcast is designed, in my opinion, based on the things that we're both trying to achieve every week.
Yeah.
And if you're living, creating, learning, working on yourself and other things, you're always going to have something to share and teach, others through your own experiences. So this is a podcast based on both of our experiences as we go through and build businesses and relationships and, better the world.
Yeah, learning about leadership, I think a couple things that you and I have in common is that if the world's going right, we're going left. If the world's going left, we're going right.
For sure. And without a doubt.
We're both self-driven individuals, and so we really study a lot of high achievers, I guess you would say.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to do with our life, is just take our lives to the next level. And unfortunately, he loves dogs, and he's got his vision for his dogs and his program for Fit Bully Kennels, and I have a vision for Xdog, and so it just organically seemed to work well together.
Yeah, and you talked about that too, and trust me, it's funny because almost a year later, we'll be going into a year here soon. I start shooting dogs, and it really started with the other Stan Smith, and he said himself, a lot of people had reached out and tried to come and shoot the dogs, and it just never looked like what I put together. And he said the first video I said, what the fuck, and then mind you, I've always and only picked up the camera because I wanted to capture my dogs or people in ways that I believe they should be captured.
Sure.
So, when you see somebody who has a vision and it complements the dog first, and it's like, man, wonder what happened if I put the vest on, wonder what happened if we shot the supplementation, shot this, shot that. And someone like myself, like yourself, who's super driven, it's just like every time I shoot, it's got to be better.
I think the way that you shoot too, you pay so much attention to details that a lot of people don't think about. Just like I pay attention to a lot of details in a product that people don't think about.
Yeah.
And that's what really separates us from the majority of people out there who are trying to do the same things. Like, people feel like they can just come out with a product, but there's just so much attention to detail that, when you think about this, when you think about the Xdog vest, you can literally adjust the weight on it as little as a grain of sand. Mm-hmm. Literally, as a grain of sand, you can adjust the weight by that much accuracy. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. And so when you shoot a video, you go, I'm trying to catch this person's emotions, right?
Man, I'm capturing I'm looking at I'm already thinking about, there's a video I did of Blue in the Sand, right?
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about, I'm going to reverse this clip. I'm already thinking about how I want the story to be. So then you have David, hey, just do a walk, and I'm going to just cut you guys having a good time together. But everything I think of is, what story am I telling?
Yeah.
What kind of message am I going to convey or put here, when I'm, shooting?
And as we talked in previous podcasts, if you are a business or an individual or influencer or whatever you want to title yourself is, we all live an individual story, and whoever can tell or convey our stories the best stand out. It's just one of those things.
Of course.
And so, I've seen you shoot videos of a bunch of people, and it's like after they watch the video, you can just see the emotion in their face. You can see grown men and women just putting tears in their eyes.
They're jumping up and down. They are like nobody, and it's because they'll tell me an idea, and they may even had a dream about it.
Yeah.
But they don't. I literally study. I've been watching commercials and movies in ways that I'm thinking, man, wonder how they did this cut. And I've always thought that, but then you pick up the camera and you begin to solve for those problems through creativity.
Yeah.
So when it does come to like something to me that, that's all you wanted.
Yeah.
It goes boom, boom, boom. They go, holy shit. Because not in their wildest dreams could they have imagined someone putting together that fast.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that captivated me was that, I had a vision for video and for our products, and then you shot the video and it exceeded my expectations. I think that is so important, especially like whether you're an employer or employee, you're working somewhere. I'm the type of person, like, if I don't care, man. If I walk into Walmart and I get employed by Walmart and I'm the shelfer, I'm gonna be the best fucking shelfer there. I'm gonna out shelf the fuck out of you. You know, like that's what it is. I don't care what it is. You know, I always try to over deliver, and that's just who I am as a person. I feel like that's very similar to you, you know?
Oh, likewise. I can't half-ass do anything, and it started with my grandfather telling me as a kid, if you're sweeping a corner, make sure that corner has your name on it. And he just was going back to, I think one of the things that people are getting confused nowadays is the identity thing.
Yeah.
You know, you got to know who you are to be somebody in this world, and to be somebody, or even we'll say, you want to be an icon, or what is it that you're doing that's iconic?
Yeah.
And if I'm sweeping that corner, my name is on that corner, it's going to look like an iconic corner. Like it really broke it down that simple, but also that complicated, because you think, well, what goes into making a broom? Why was a broom created? Why does it have this type of bristles? Why does it hold? I mean, I'm a fucking rabbit hole type person, so I got to make sense of all these little things so that I can make it perfect.
Yeah, you know, I develop some products that are common categories in the pet industry, and then I also develop products that are niche, right? But it's just like anything else, like whether you're a roofer, a real estate agent, or whatever, you know, a contractor. I think what can separate that individual is their performance, you know? Like I had an individual come over and clean my house, did a fucking phenomenal job. No longer available, have somebody come over, and I was just completely disappointed. But I would have paid extra to hire that other person to come back, you know what I mean? Just based off the experience that I received from them of their excellent work. And I think a lot of people, they don't keep that in mind, you know? Like, for example, I have a couple buddies who are roofers, right? Yeah. And they're just like, it's really competitive, and they're taking over, like right now, they're like, man, with all the storms coming in, like, this is going to be good. But in my head, I'm like, you can't just do good business. You have to do exceptional business to the point where when it's not bad weather, that person that's roof that you fix wants to refer you every single fucking time.
And the roofing business is hard though, because some of those roofs you can put on, they can last 10 years, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you can 10 years after you do everything, it's like, I can't get another gig for another 10 of them boys. Yeah. Or until there's, of course, a bad storm.
So, it's always that quick lick, right?
yeah. They're like, oh shit, we didn't come up real quick. Let's go. Everybody go to Oklahoma right fast. Yeah. Everybody come to Texas real quick, or any of those places where they deal with devastation.
And so, do you feel like let's say in the bully game or the dog game or the breeding game in general, what are some things that certain kennels can do to really enhance the experience of someone coming in and investing into their vision? Like say they come over and get a puppy, right? What are some things that they could do to take that experience to the next level?
You know what? I've been conflicted, if you would, about this whole this breeding thing, right? Because I'm always going to lose more than I make, but my intention wasn't to get in and get rich. Yeah. So as I continue to tell people, the best thing you could do is showcase your dog and its capabilities. Mm-hmm. And anybody can post a picture of a dog, and everybody does. Yeah. But when you start showcasing your love for the dog, that attention to detail, building his character, boosting his confidence, teaching and walking him through what all goes into it, I think that makes a big difference. Yeah. And those are the people who will last. And then the other thing is we bring up Bossy Kennel, here and there, and some people get in with this expectation to get rich real quick. But here are the facts: anybody who's lasted as long as she and others have lasted, have done it for 10 years, starting at a low level. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, things start hitting because the vision became more clear to them. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks they're going to get it. And mind you, there's a pivotal moment in Amazon where he realized the way in which he was sending books, people buying books. He says, oh, we could ship anything like this. Yeah. And in that moment, it's like, oh, fuck, we can take over the whole fucking world. Yeah. And mind you, it was named Amazon. I think it was another name before, but he changed it to Amazon. And when you think about the Amazon and now all that other stuff, it's kind of endless. So the name itself was bigger than a book sale. Yeah. And when you put something together, be it a dog, to be clear, people, since that was the question, what are you really doing? And a lot of people, unfortunately, are not thinking about what they even want to do with the program, man. Yeah. They're not thinking bloodline. They're not thinking goals. I told my people we wanted to do 2 breedings and then showcase the dogs that we keep, so we can keep building up the value of what it means to have a fit bully. Yeah. So when people do come, not only are they willing to wait until whatever breedings we have, but the value's already there because they see the work.
And it's kind of crazy, man. Like I see it online. Some of these fucking exotic breeders, man, it's just heartbreaking to see what is being valued right now when it comes to like health issues and deformity, and it's like that's becoming very popular, and you're going, no, I'm going this way.
Yeah, I can't go that way. I've always been grateful to have a dog in my life, and anybody who loves dogs, you know what that dog does for your day in and day out. So I can't, I think last night Eco was laying on my lap, and I didn't even realize at some point he got on the couch and just to put his head on my lap. But that's how comfortable I am, and just with my dogs around. Like, it's just, we become like, they're just a part of me, literally. And I had that moment, I go, damn, this dude, how long has he been on my lap? When I'm sitting there typing or working on the computer, putting some stuff together. So I don't know what their purpose is, but I was raised with men who loved what a dog was capable of. And it brought something out of them too. It made them get up and get that dog some more, get it the exercise it needed. All that other stuff. I posted something, like me shooting the shit in the car, singing to some nonsense. Somebody says, "Oh, you feeling yourself?" I said, and so I sent a snap. I said, "Motherfucker, I ain't feeling. I'm at the middle of a goddamn Arbor Hill walking Eco, pissed off, because I've been gone for 3, almost realistically 60 days, where I haven't had a lot of time to focus on them. So now every day and every other day he gets extensive work, but that shit ain't being showcased. So that's why I even posted it like, yo, in the middle of the park, like, motherfucker, whatever y'all see, that's for people, because I know that there's a community of people who follow that rhetoric and nonsense I put up. But the truth is, I'm over here irritable because I want my dog to be better than me.
I think some of the great kennels, or the kennels that are successful, man, they know how to simplify complexity, right? Like, so
life too, anything in business.
Sure.
Keep it simple, stupid. The kid's theory.
Yeah, I mean, I see some of these like logos, and you can't even fucking read them, or some of these flyers for shows, and you can't fucking like, what's even going on here? And so, I think,
Barnum and Bailey did it the best. The greatest show of all time. That's the fucking flyer. It's still the movie to this day. The greatest show of all time. Fucking stick to the simple, people.
Yeah. And so, from your name, of branding, right, to even having a great website. Have people, because, I mean, think about it, man. Eventually, the way social media is ran, I mean, I've seen so many people who had to spend hours and months, days and weeks trying to get their accounts back, right? Because they kind of put all their eggs in one basket, which is social media, to push their dogs, right? And then, so having a good website, a clean website, having great contracts and clear transparency, right? Full transparency. How many times have you seen online where somebody's pissed off because they felt like they got ripped off, and the other person who is the business part of the business deal feels like they didn't rip that individual off, and in my head I'm like, why isn't there fucking contracts? Why isn't there no clear contracts? You know what I mean?
Wow, look, I do business. You remember I said I thought we was doing business.
My bad. I'm sorry. I thought we was doing business.
I thought we was doing business. So I don't. I dot my I's and cross my T's. Because the house always wins, but the house protects itself. And if you can't read, that's on you.
I mean, I spent $10,000 from going from Xdogvest.com to Xdog. Short and simple, and I still have a hard fucking time getting people to call it by its right name. Xvest. X-Dog Vest, I'm like, you're fucking driving me crazy. But I don't want to go out and say something like out of hand to where I disrespect somebody. So I'm thinking about a creative way where I can get that message across. Like, let's host a contest. How's this properly pronounced, right? And put all the wrong things that everybody says, and then give them maybe something crazy like a 25% off coupon if they guess it right.
That'll be good. That'll be good for them. Boost morale.
Because a lot of people get upset and like, and one thing I last week when we had Josh on, right, from Off Leash Canine, I found like what really stood out with how his program grew was that he held the individual accountable at the very beginning. A lot of trainers like to feed, hey, we can fix this, we can do that. But they don't tell the person who's coming in bringing the dog, oh, but you're going to have to do all this work too. Like, it's not just going to drop it off, we're going to fix your dog. And I think a lot of trainers they were going that route. They're like, yeah, man, we can fix your dog. But you're going to have to continue the work once you get home every single day, every single moment. Right?
For fucking facts, man. It's never ending. It's never ending, just like anything in life, right? If you got kids, you know that every day there's something your kids need. You got to fucking bills that are like you got to go to work every day just to be able to pay those bills. Everything is continuous work and it's never ending.
It kind of reminded me of the story you told me about the guy who was drinking like 2 liters of Coke a day. And you're like, man, you're working your ass off. How come you're not losing the weight?
Bruh, he was shoving sugar down his throat.
But you knew it. You're like, something's not right.
Something's up. I know this shit works, bro. I'm not the guessing game here, man. You're doing this, and it's all numbers at the end of the day. You know, when you lower someone's caloric intake, and then you up their basically output of energy, because that's all calories are, something's going to burn, and nothing was burning. Other than his throat and esophagus from all that damn coke he was shoving down his mouth, you know, so you go, fuck, bro.
Yeah, so, you know, I wanted to go segue into this where, you know, this is one of the questions that we get quite often. It's probably the number, I hate using this, but the number one question I get, because you know people don't even fucking ask the question sometimes. And if you guys are influencers or are doing videos, stop doing that shit. The number one question I get every single day is, you know, like...
You know, it's not a bad thing, though, because there is consistency, right?
But sometimes, you know, like bullshit, ain't nobody asking you that shit.
Now, that's the other part. There's a lot of bullshitters because they want to make it seem like they're relevant. You're like, oh, wow. And then you got these people who love comments. They're like, oh, I didn't see that question anywhere. Yeah. I went to your last 6 posts and not one person said that. You mind if I check your DMs?
Yeah. But the truth is, on our end, we do get this question a lot. And it's like, what is the Xdog Vest? Like, how does it work? And the reason why we get it a lot is because, you know, when we're marketing these ads and running these ads, you know, we're always saying the world's greatest health enhancement harness for dogs. And people are like, health enhancement harness? What does that even fucking mean? Like, and so I wanted to go into this. And, you know, initially when I first developed the vest, it was to satisfy my high energy dog Triton, right? And then over the past 4 years, going on 5 years now, we've had so many amazing dog trainers, owners, just all walks of life of dog, influencers, everything, help revolutionize and open up our minds to, damn, this is just more than a weight vest. This is a health enhancement harness, right? And so to give you guys a basic understanding I call it a health enhancement harness, and how it works, it combines weight resistance with resistance bands. And you know, initially when you think of weight lifting, right, or weight resistance or resistance band resistance, you think of gym, right? And so let's go into the benefits of why it's important to exercise, right? And that's one of the biggest problems with dog owners is that they really don't know how to exercise their dogs in a way that's going to satisfy the dog. But they think they do. You know, let me walk the dog around the block, walk around, you know, a few blocks, and that should be significant exercise. But my dog's still tearing shit up around the house.
Shit up.
And so, on a human standpoint, right, let's look at the muscle side, right? So you go into the gym in order to build muscle. Why do people go into the gym, and what are the benefits from when it comes to muscle benefits by going to the gym consistently?
Well, let's take a step back first, because I think endorphins play a big role.
Yeah.
And realistically, there's only 3 ways that endorphins are released. One is through sex. You can't have sex all day.
Dogs can't.
Yeah, nobody can. Realistically, you'd be wore out shooting dust
all day.
And so, and the other thing is you can't eat all day, because then you'll be overweight.
Yeah.
Food always makes you happy, unless it burns your esophagus and tears you up. And then the last thing is you always feel better after exercise. That first crack of sweat, you're like, man, I'm doing something. I know, so psychologically speaking, and even physically speaking, the body feels better when it's working.
Why do you think, you know, if that's the case, why do you think people have such a hard time sticking with a diet that they, like, they'll do it for a couple of days and it makes them start feeling really good. They're hitting the gym for a couple of days, it makes them start feeling good, and then they go, I need that fucking cheat day. And it throws them off and sets them back. Do you think that cheat days endorphins are more powerful than the days of being healthy? Or
of course, but it's also based on psychologically how they've marketed the idea of diet. See, diet is like a cuss word. It's not a word that reflects or represents really just the food you're ingesting. So when sometimes I'm going on a diet, also you're eating what you need.
Yeah.
You know, not what you want.
Yeah.
And realistically, if we just said, hey, my diet consists of such and such, I'm not taking away anything. I'm eating the things that keep my body going.
Yeah.
So the connotation with diet is all negative based.
Yeah.
Versus I'm going to go eat some food or some pasta or some pizza or something, you know? It is.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, in my opinion, of course. And
yeah.
I'm not a doctor or a psychologist, people, but I'm just saying, I know when you say diet, people think, oh God, that means no ice cream, that means no this. That doesn't mean that. That means everything in moderation.
Yeah.
That's what it. Matter of fact, 1 can of Coke a day can regulate the sodium in your body. You know, the sodium, like a can of pop a day can help regulate the sodium. You go read about what sodium does for you. You got to have sodium.
Yeah.
So neither here nor there. Exercise itself, you know, again, I go back to the breeds.
Yes.
Every breed needs different exercise.
Yeah.
A sled dog is a sled dog for a reason.
Sure.
And one dog can literally pull normally about 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And this is very fucked up, just so we're clear. But back in the day, when that one dog no longer could pull its own weight, they would shoot the dog and feed it to the other dogs when they were out there on the cold.
Damn.
In the cold. And that's my thing, though. We're talking about Alaska Malamutes or the Siberian Huskies and various other sled type dogs. So when you go down the rabbit hole of the dog you have, what it was created for. I said this the other day on my page. Before God created woman, he created a man, and then he created purpose. Man was told tend to the garden, gave him purpose. Then come these women. So a dog, men, women included, created a dog. And every dog, even the shorty bull, the Frenchie, it was all created for a purpose.
Sure.
So when we get away from the purpose of why something was created, we take away the nature of the dog, but the nature can't be taken away because at the end of the day, it's a dog. A man gonna be a man, and a girl gonna be a girl, and a dog gonna be a dog.
Yeah, that's interesting because I ran across a couple accounts that do sled dogs, and you would think the feeding programs they're very unique. Like they almost make like a sludge. So they got this 5-gallon bucket, and it almost looks like thick soup. But when you think about a dog going 26 miles, it doesn't need to have a lump full of food in its stomach like dry kibble, right? It needs high energy and as quick as possible and a lot of fats. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
To be able to sustain the work that they're being expected to do.
Exactly, and that's a whole other thing. So the exercise thing is for one, we know that it's good for bones.
Yeah.
People who have Parkinson's disease, what are the things they do? They want them to box.
Yeah.
To get that bone connected. Osteoporosis, various things like that. It helps strengthen bones, especially when you get older. And what does muscles do? They stabilize bones.
Yeah.
And this is no disrespect to fat people or people who are overweight. Fat people struggle a lot of time because they don't have the muscle to support themselves, moving around, going up and down stairs, etc. It's easier to move when you have muscle to move effectively. If you watch sports, there are moments where you've watched an athlete's game improve right on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Well, what happened? They added muscle. And muscle allowed them to be more proactive, even if you would, in whatever movements they want to make. In their heads, they were like, I could do this, but the body's like, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So they mess, and then the next year, you're like, oh shit, look what he's doing. Guinness is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Along with Durant and so many others.
Well, when you think about endorphins too, I remember Chris and Gina were on here, and one thing that Gina said that stood out, she's like, man, when the vest is on, my dog's feeling itself. And the reason why it's feeling itself is because now it's at work, and now it's releasing those endorphins.
Yeah.
And so this is why a lot of people who have invested in the Xdog vest have to constantly hide it, right? Because if the dog sees it, then the serotonin, oxytocin, that all starts, all the feel-good chemicals in the brain start coming out. And then when they put it on, they get the endorphins, and, now they're getting satisfied. And so...
and the compression that it applies to, you think about your dog, it's most comfortable when it's like being held.
Yeah.
It's that compression and that whole, it's a whole nother thing, and I think that's why it made sense to do the workaround specific to the health enhancement vest.
Yeah.
Because the beauty about this product and your business is you're learning more and more about it every day.
Well, let's talk about internal health, bro. Like you mentioned, weight resistance, any type of weight resistance outside of being obese creates bone cell activity, which strengthens the bone. So they say it's better to stress a bone out than to break it, because when you stress it, it'll slightly stress, but it'll activate those bones and make the bones stronger, right? But when you break it, it's broke,
It's fucking broke.
And I remember my aunt, she's overweight, right? And she's walking downstairs and she just twisted her ankle, but broke that motherfucker, right? As you said, her bone cell activity wasn't that high, and her bone became weaker,
and the muscles, to be clear, there's no muscles to stabilize. So what happens is her foot turns into a muscle, and it's like this: if you don't have the muscles to stabilize your patella tendon, your ACL, your MCL, the muscles around that joint area, the joint becomes a mover, and joints allow movement, they don't move.
Yeah.
So if the joint does the job of a muscle, in this case the foot, so let's say her hips are weak, technically. A lot of times when people are overweight, their hips are weak, and then that means that knee can't protect you. Then that means that ankle's doing all the work. So now, I've used this many times. Grandma, or in this case, aunt, steps off the curb, rolls her ankle, tears everything in her foot, because from her hip all the way down to her foot, she's got no stability, no strength, just nothing whatsoever. So it gets interesting for people like me, just because I'm like, oh, and you can see it. People do something like a step up, their knee will cut to the left or cut to the, and they'll tell you their hips, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, you're gonna roll your ankle. And I rolled it 3 times. I knew it.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, as soon as the vest is on your dog is now receiving the benefits of weight resistance along with resistance bands. You know, and so.
But tell them about the resistance bands and why you put them in there. Well, you keep saying resistance band. I don't think people understand what that means.
So across the vest on the back shoulders, we have elastic bands, right? And so when your dog's going into gait, it's getting that resistance. So I don't know if you've ever been into the gym, but they have resistance bands, right? And it works the same way. So it applies resistance, and the more your dog goes into gait, the more resistance. The less it gets in gait, the less resistance. So what we've come to find out is when a dog is on a treadmill or a dog is running or sprinting in the vest, they tend to overcompensate because we have shoulder weight resistance, and then we have the now added the resistance bands. And so dogs tend to overcompensate. So once we take that vest off, what ends up happening is now you have muscles that are conditioned to overcompensate, which improves the gait, makes it more fluid, gives it more endurance. And it's just a really ironic thing, but it's cool how science works in that way, you know, because no one ever thought about that shit. You know, you have, and people, you know, before they used to talk about how it impeded movement, but what they were referring to is the H-harness study. And when I asked them, bring up the study, right? And they're like, well, no, that's just like an H-harness. The Xdog vest is not like the H-harness. It's more of a modified Y-harness without the Y right here.
Yeah.
And so, you know, once we got through that chapter of the story, you know, and started applying it, people, and people just couldn't deny it anymore. Dogs who were competing in dog sports at measured speed were just dominating everybody, or every single one who used the vest, I would say 99% of them ran faster times, and not just by a little bit. They obliterated their pastimes. And I'm not talking about a puppy all of a sudden running faster time every single time. I'm talking dogs that were competing 2 or 3, 4 years into the sport, all of a sudden utilized the vest and then started running faster times.
Well, resistance has changed, people. It's the one thing I've always said. Some of you guys are resisting change, so things are staying the same in your life. But here's the facts. Anytime you add resistance to your life, you have to change or improve.
Yeah.
So just a little bit at a time, in this case, you know, with your dog, it'll improve any of us to be clear.
Yeah. And so, you know, another thing that we get a lot, quite often, is that I heard that it's hard on joints. Weights are hard on joints. How's that on the human side?
It's very similar, but unfortunately, there's not really. I'll tell you this: I studied all the written standards for even bench pressing, for instance, on the CSCS standard, which is your strength standard that a lot of people, you know, live by. It says bring the bar to your nipple. If I bring the bar to my nipple with bench pressing, I'm going to kick my elbow out, press through my joints, rotator cuff, and labrum, and at some point this is going to end.
Yeah.
So the bar actually, from a rotated motion, if I was to push a car, my hands are normally below my nipple.
Sure.
If I say help me push this car, so it's a matter of movement and understanding and knowing how the muscle moves versus the joint, and taking the joint out of the movement. So I'm actually about to go through and do a heavy study on the anatomics of dogs and how they're put together, down to the bone sites, and I'll have a better idea long term. And for the most part, from my understanding, it's very similar but very different.
Well, here's the thing. When you look at it in that perspective, dogs don't move unnecessarily the way they don't want to move unless you are forcing them or encouraging them to move in a way that they're not designed to move, right? So it all goes back to the handler, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, the vest comes empty. People are like, why doesn't it come with weights? And the reason why it does not come with weights is, one, for the safety of your dog, because we don't know who you are and how you're going to ego weight it or if you're not going to ego weight it. One, and two is because you want to condition those fixator muscles, and fixator muscles are stabilizer muscles, right? And those fixator muscles, as you condition them, and the more conditioned they get, it puts less stress on the joints, ligaments, and tendons. So the proper use of the vest could actually add years of or promote joint health and add longevity to your dog's joints, ligaments, and tendons, right? And so I guess the best way you could say it is, it's not that weight resistance is hard on joints, ligaments, and tendons. It's the misuse or mismovement with overweight or the improper weight in most cases, right? Not all cases, like for humans in the gym, but in most cases that could potentially cause injury. Fortunately, we've been here 5 years almost, and we haven't had one report.
Well, and just remember, people, if you do work out, you didn't start off, you know, if you're a runner, you didn't start off running 5-6 miles a lot of times. You built up to it. You didn't start off benching 135 pounds, let alone 220 or 300. It took some time. So remember that just because your dog, you think it could do anything, it needs its own process as well. And the thing that the Xdog vest comes with is instructions on how to add weight and all that. So you're not even left stranded in that regard. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, and we're currently working on, I would probably expect in the next probably 5 to 6 months, we'll have a certification course where you'll be able to become an ambassador or affiliate or what we call as partners, have a partnership with us, and get a certified and increase your commissions. You know what I mean? And so that's going to be cool, because the reason why that's really important is because the more educated you are, the more people you can educate in your communities. And we really want to push, our goal is to eliminate dog obesity. In order to eliminate dog obesity, we have to influence people to exercise their dogs, right?
And so, hey, listen, people, sometimes our topics get a little bit longer. We don't want to cut it just at 30. If we're really rolling, we keep this thing going. Therefore, at the end of our YouTube, you will see, hey, jump on the links listed below. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, where else? Google,
wherever else you guys list us at.
Yeah, wherever we're listed at, and continue to follow and listen to the show, whatever we're talking about. Hopefully you enjoy the topics. Stay tuned. Appreciate you guys' support.
Yeah, and as always, man, leave us a comment, subscribe, share. In the comments or in the reviews, also, leave us some topics that you would like us to discuss. We don't hold back. So if you want us to talk about something, be sure to leave it there. So as always,
Team Xdog strong.